Happy Saturday, and what a beautiful Saturday it is. And it's Mother's Day weekend, so it's extra beautiful. We are
Yeah.
so glad you guys came back to the chat room to hang out with us on Dr. the Doctor on 94.7 FM. Uh, because we cannot do this without you. It's because you come back each Saturday and hang out with us that we're able to hang out with you and do this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello to my co-host. Happy Mother's Day, ma'am.
Happy Mother's Day to you too. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing very well. I am. It's a beautiful day. The weather has been nice and it's my kind of weather. Although, heat, hot flashes and heat and hair and all that stuff don't work for me. I love the summertime, so this is great.
Right. Me
Mhm.
too. Me too.
And it's Mother's Day weekend, and I love this time of year. And I think I would say that even if I wasn't a mother, because I understand truly the value of having a great mother figure in my life. So yeah.
Yeah. It's a very fun time. You get to celebrate your mom, you get to be
Mhm.
celebrated if you are a mom.
Mhm.
So I'm excited about it.
Me too. And I hope that you guys are celebrating your moms, those of you that still have your moms, and those of you that don't. If you don't have somebody in your life that you can celebrate, you can just focus on those beautiful memories that you had
Hmm.
with your mom, and hopefully it won't be a solemn, sad time of year for those people that don't have their moms with them. I pray that it won't.
Yeah. I think that that's a good point, to bring up because holidays like this, we often like to talk about how exciting it is and, how we love that time of year. And it is important not to forget that Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, those are times of year that not everybody feels so festive and joyous
Yeah.
because, there's a lot of grief involved.
Absolutely. And it's very fresh grief for some people.
Yeah.
I cannot relate necessarily to that. Although I do think about my grandmother, oh my gosh, like it feels like fresh memories for me,
Hmm. Hmm.
so I guess I do kind of relate. But anyway, my prayers to all of the people that don't have their moms with them. We're praying for you, really and truly, not just saying words. I've said a prayer for those people that
Hmm.
this won't be a sad and solemn time, and that you can somehow intentionally focus on the good things and the good memories with your mom. And again, never to belittle anything about the guys. Father's Day is coming up,
Hmm. Yeah.
uh, but this is about our moms. So
Yeah.
happy Mother's Day to all mothers. I want to send a special shout out so that I don't forget to my mom, to my Aunt Peggy, who is just like a mom to me. Happy
Mhm.
Mother's Day, Aunt Peg. To Alexis, again to you. Um, yeah, happy Mother's Day, y'all.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I could send a shout out too, it would be to my stepmom, all my aunts,
Mhm.
godmom, and obviously to you. You have been like a mother to me in Memphis, and I just am very, very appreciative, very grateful. God put you in my life for a reason. So
Yep, my
um,
pleasure, as they
you
say
know,
at Chick-fil-A.
they sure do. Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. May is a hard month for me. It's hard because of Mother's Day, but it's also hard because that is the month that my mom passed away back
Hmm,
in 2008.
mhm.
Um, it was about a week and a half maybe after Mother's Day, and I did not have a clue that Mother's Day
That
was
was
going to be my
coming.
last. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So May's hard. It's joyous, and then having my own child and being celebrated as a mom, but still at the same time not being able to have my mom see me celebrated as a mom. Like
Mhm,
that's hard. That's hard.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I think she'd be very proud, and I know your dad is, and I know Judy is proud as well. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. It
It's
is.
all good. And that's what we want to talk about today. About mothers. Have some fun, asking some questions that we get to answer about being a mom. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be very interesting. I try not to read over them.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that'll be a bit of a surprise.
yeah.
That's when you get your most
I think I saw the first one and I don't even remember what it was. And then I was like, okay, don't read them. Just,
yep,
let this be authentic. So,
yep, yep. Okay.
yeah.
Well, with that in mind, here's your first question.
Okay.
What has been the hardest period of motherhood for you and how did you deal with it?
Oh, that's very easy. The toughest time for me in motherhood was going through a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
and both my kids were, the hip babies kind of,
Mm-hmm.
toddlers
Mm-hmm.
because they're so close in age. And not really having, I lived in Memphis, my folks lived over an hour away, and I didn't really have a support system.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty tough. Um, and I think it's kind of like the fight or flight thing.
Uh-huh.
I just think when things like that happen, because their father wasn't supportive, and I say that publicly because I don't have anything, to hide. I'm not trying to
Mhm.
bash anybody. It's just
Right.
it's
But
just
the truth is the truth.
it's the truth. And so you just spring into action,
Yeah.
and I think how I dealt with it was I had an understanding, and I think that was through my grandmother and the way my grandmother did things.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the most simplest things you can think of, the way she kept her house,
Mm-hmm.
how she cooked, clean as you go,
Mm-hmm.
um, everything, I think I'm a little mini Sally Ann Johnson for real. And so organization was my savior,
Mm.
was my earthly
Mm-hmm.
savior, being
Mm-hmm.
organized. Which reminds me of a young lady that was an assistant to me a few years back, and she would, come running in the office, just as you say, Tokyo drifting. And she asked me one day, Miss Rhonda, how do you do it? How do you? And I said, I bet you get up in the mornings because she had a little small one. I said, I
Mm-hmm.
bet you get up in the morning looking for shoes. Where's the other shoe? Where's the other sock? And she's like, I do. I said, well, that's how I did it. And I try to teach that to Alexis too. Like, when you get organized, it really does
Mhm.
take a lot of
Yeah.
the burden and the weight off of things.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to take 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to put things away. Um, my life was very routine,
Mm-hmm.
but that's how I dealt with it.
That
And
makes sense.
there were just mentally tough times, and I dealt with that through prayer and through, building a stronger relationship with God. And I
Yeah.
mean, everything in my life has brought me closer and closer to God.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this one last thing. You just don't know what people are going through. Some
Yeah.
people know how to get up
Mm-hmm.
and stick their chest out and dress up and come out into the world
Yep.
and just make it happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those were some really, really tough times.
Yeah. That's such a great point. We never know what anybody's carrying. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people make it look easy. They make
And
it
I
look
and I
good.
believe I did.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
believe that's why I say that I believe I made it look easy, but
Mm-hmm.
mm-mm. Not easy at all. No time for me whatsoever.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, literally, when they got school age, Alexis and I laugh about that now. I would have to run in the house and run in the bathroom and lock the door because they would even follow me in there and not even give me a moment. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny you say that. I just watched this video the other day of when Jackson was probably like 2. Um,
mhm.
we had just moved here, so he was probably 2.5. And I'm in the bathroom, door closed and everything, and I hear this little knock, and I say, "Who is it?" He said, "Jackson."
What made you even say who is it?
Because I knew, right? Who else was it gonna be? He said, "Jackson." I said, "Well, what do you want?" He said, "I want to come in." I'm in the bathroom. Can you wait a minute? No, thank you, is what he responded. And I didn't think he was quite old enough to open the door. He was. He
Wow.
when I told him to wait and he said no, thank you. He and his little head appeared, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is what they were talking about. Mom's not having a
Mhm.
moment. You can't even go in the bathroom without
Mhm.
your child following you. So it's fun.
And so now what would be your toughest time?
Definitely going through a divorce.
Mhm.
It is it's wreaks havoc on your family as you know it, and it's hard to explain that to a child. Like they don't get it, right? I mean, as an adult, I don't think we quite understand what's happening, but kids, um Jackson just had a really hard time with it. He
But do
did,
you think that is always the case, or do you think it just depends on the situation? Because your situation was just tough
yeah.
because of the things that you dealt with. If those things had been different,
Well, I
maybe
think
it
you're
wouldn't.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Because
because
I remember a time the beginning,
yes.
when as long as he knew you guys were
Yep, we
cordial
were
and
okay.
sweet, both of you, he was just fine.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that is totally right. He was okay in the beginning.
Mhm.
In fact, he was so young that he was excited about having 2 rooms. And
Yeah.
so we were like, okay, let's just go with that. And fine with the back and forth. He was okay with spending time with me, then going to spend time with his dad.
Mhm.
It wasn't until things changed on
Mhm.
his dad's side that it got really, really hard for Jackson because
Mhm.
it was no longer the situation that he had gotten used to.
Mhm.
It was almost like he had to get used to the divorce, and then he had to get used to the back and forth, and then he had to get used to something completely different. And
Mhm.
it's all in a very short time, span of time. Um, and you can't do that to kids. It's just too much. So that definitely was the hardest time. And I pray that is the hardest time that I ever have to experience as a parent. I don't ever want to experience anything like that or worse ever again. So Lord willing, that was the hardest time and the only
Mhm.
time that I will be able to say that,
Mhm.
hopefully. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Um, okay.
well, here's another one you kind of touched on. Do you have a favorite, or did you have, because your kids are grown now, but did you have a favorite go-to mom recipe that you could, quickly or easily throw together, being a busy mom? Was there something that you went to every week or
You
every
said
other week?
recipe?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I did actually, and they love it to this day. So the young lady that did my hair for many, many years, um, Mrs. Carolyn Elliott, rest
Mm-hmm.
in peace, Carolyn. She was a wonderful person. She gave me this recipe once for this. I call it a chicken casserole. Actually, it was with ground beef. Okay.
Okay.
Back
Uh-huh.
then, I was making it with ground beef, and then over time, I changed it to chicken.
Uh-huh.
But it's just these noodles and cheese and chicken and you know, cream of mushroom soup, and
Mhm.
it's just this thing that I can just put it all in a pan, right?
Yeah.
And put it in the oven and have a good garlic bread and make a salad. And
Mhm.
you can eat off of it a couple of days, and people
Yeah.
be stealing it out of the refrigerator in between. It was so good, you know, and
Mhm.
filling. It was filling. So yeah, that was my
Yeah.
go-to recipe. It wasn't, you know, a burger, or
Uh-huh.
it wasn't. I rarely did anything like that with my kids.
Okay.
Like I cooked
Yeah.
when my kids were growing up. I
Believe.
cooked all week, and then on Saturdays we could order a pizza or eat
Mhm.
out somewhere, whatever. And then Sundays it was usually Sunday home cooked dinner.
Right.
Hmm.
That sounds good.
And it was
Reminds me of
all organized and planned all week. All week it had to be. Go ahead and get some vegetables ready,
uh-huh.
so it won't be so hard, and you can add a different meat. And yeah.
Were you the mom that had, I watch these like TikToks and those reels on Facebook now where, people have like a chalkboard in their kitchen. And one of my very good friends does this. She has 4 kids, so she stays very much on top of things. But she has a chalkboard where she writes down, Monday what their activities are, what dinner's going to be, all the way through the week. Or were
I
you
did
that?
not have a chalkboard. It was on my refrigerator. That
Okay.
same concept, but it was on my refrigerator. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had to. I just had to keep up with things, you know. If,
Yeah.
if I said that, if the meal required tomatoes,
Uh-huh.
I had to have a little column like things I need.
Oh, okay.
So, I've gone grocery shopping, but you know how that is. You have to replenish and all
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, I was always just that organized.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a little different. I'm kind of a wing it mom.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of. I mean, I do have an idea of what I'm gonna make that week because I have gone grocery shopping that weekend, and I always make sure I have certain things, in
Mm-hmm.
the fridge or freezer or the pantry.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't always plan it out. And I wonder if, how much less stressful my life might be if I just, added a little
Yeah, I
organization.
could not have I could not have raised 2 kids without being the way that I was. I was so
Mhm.
much the way that I was that when there were no kids in the house anymore,
Uh-huh.
I went through something.
Oh, you had
It
to
was
get
it was
used
it
to.
was more than just separation anxiety.
Yeah.
It was even when there was just one child left,
Uh-huh.
my responsibilities were cut in half.
Yeah.
So now I do remember Ronnie's extracurricular activities
Mm-hmm.
picking up after Alexis was out of the house and in college.
Okay.
So he
Uh-huh.
was doing more. And then I had started helping other single moms that were like moms to his friends.
Uh-huh.
Like, okay, I'll pick them up from football practice. I'll get them from track. So I was that mom. I was like the community mom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate to have a job that allowed me a little bit of flexibility to be able to do those things. So
Yeah.
when I say daily bread, I
Mm-hmm.
mean daily bread. God has always been that to me.
Yeah. Well, I love those answers. We actually are coming up on a break. I was hoping, we would I knew that we would have fun answers about some of these questions. I didn't realize we would get to a break this soon though.
Of
So
course, we always do. Yeah.
always.
All right, guys, we'll be right back on 94.7 FM. Doctor the Doctor in the chat room. We'll be right back in a moment.
And we are back. Happy Mother's Day. We're talking about all things, mama related. We were answering some questions about motherhood. And so here's a question for you, Dr. Shaw. Tell me what your best advice to moms of little kids would be.
For little kids, it would be what I said earlier. Just get organized. That would
Mm,
be one thing. Get yourself organized because even if it's a two-parent home, there are just certain things from a societal
uh-huh,
perspective that these things fall on the mom, right?
sure. Yeah.
Keeping the house and the clothes and the little
Mm-hmm.
girl's hair done and and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. So keep yourself organized so that you don't have to feel overwhelmed. Like I said, it's much easier to take 10 minutes to put some things away than it is to find yourself looking around saying it'll take me 2 or 3 days to pull this house back together again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you just feel so overwhelmed and and can even fall, people fall into depression and stuff and
Yeah.
over unorganization.
Mm-hmm.
So and things
Mm-hmm.
being in disarray.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would be one thing. And the other thing would be really take the time to not just love on your kids, but
Mhm.
because time flies. So
Yes.
but think outside the box. If I could do it all over again, I'd think outside the box about, I wouldn't just think about reading a bedtime story.
Mm-hmm.
I think about playing something in other languages, something that my child was familiar with. Say if
Oh,
it was
uh-huh.
Mary Had a Little Lamb. I
Mm-hmm.
might play that in a different language in the
Mm-hmm.
bedroom at night or something. I would expose them to a lot more, a lot earlier.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, if I could do it all over again. And as much as I know our kids love basketball and football and track
Mm-hmm.
and all of that, I want Harlan to get into golf. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just, and tennis and
Yeah.
I just want to think outside the box a little
Yeah.
bit. And, I tend to feel like my grandkids, anything that they do,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like all six of them are like
They
just
just excel at
excelling at it.
it.
Yeah. Most of
Yeah.
the time they do. Like, Harlan gets on the drums and he just naturally plays. And then
Yeah.
Kennedy gets on there and she plays just as good as he does. And it's like,
And
this is crazy.
and
It's
Kai
like,
too. I saw his little video the other day. Kai, I'm
yeah,
like, how do you know how to play the drums,
yeah. And
sir?
then one week, 1 hour of the Saturday, Jackson is in soccer. The next hour he's somewhere, in basketball. Next hour he's somewhere over here doing karate. And
Mhm.
it's just like, so yeah, think outside the box. Don't
Yeah.
limit them because
Yeah.
they're not limited. We limit them.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I would say the same. Get them involved in stuff at a young age. That way they have the experience, they've been able to see different things and meet different people and then they get to decide when they're older what it is that
Mm-hmm.
they really want to attach themselves to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would say for sure get them involved when they're young. Well, also, I mean, it's helpful for them kids to be running off some energy somewhere. It's helpful for
Yeah,
them. It's helpful for
that
you.
helps, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
absolutely. And the last thing I think I would say is develop some like routines and traditions for them to cling to.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that I just remember like my mom and dad doing with me that I have begun to do with Jackson when he was
Mm-hmm.
little. Because
Oh, yeah,
it's
absolutely.
nice, right? Like
Mhm.
um and just those things that you get to that they get to pass down to their kids and say, my
Mhm.
mom did this with me or my dad did this with me. And now I'm gonna do that with you. Like there's
Mhm.
just something really special about that.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Um, what is your favorite thing? Now I can't answer this one, but what is
Before we
your
go to that, can I say
uh,
one thing?
yeah.
You were talking about the smaller kids and we were offline and we said something about like teenagers and older kids.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let me just say one thing about that. And I don't mean this in a humorous way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for the moms that have older kids, the teenagers or whatever, um, it gets better.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You have to ride it out.
Mm-hmm.
I wish somebody had told me that. Look, just go with it, just ride with it. Yeah, you still have to discipline, you still have, and all that stuff, but don't get so bent out of shape because all that does is just make matters worse.
Yeah.
Just pray, ride it out, laugh a lot at what they do,
Yeah.
and don't take it personal. They got a lot going on in their bodies.
That's a good one. Don't take
Yeah,
it personal.
don't
Yeah.
take it personal. Yeah.
They do have a lot going on at school. I was thinking earlier, I was talking to a client and she was telling me about her like middle school experience. And I remember saying, yeah, middle school is ridiculous. And high school is only a little less ridiculous in
Mhm.
terms of
Mhm.
the, stress and the stuff that kids go through.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
lot. So,
sorry to cut you off, but I thought, the teenage years, those are the tough years. So
yes,
I better mention that.
I remember those. Yeah. And I remember, the just bumping heads with parents simply
Yeah.
because you're a teenager, you
Mm-hmm.
think you know it all,
Mm-hmm.
parents all of a sudden don't know anything, right? When they're like 5, 6, 7, and 8, parents know everything. And then all of a sudden you become a teenager and they don't know anything anymore. Parents
Nothing.
just they don't get it,
Or somebody else can tell them the same identical thing and they'll
Yes.
act like it's brand new.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That is kind of related to what this next question was.
Mhm.
So what is your favorite thing and your least favorite thing or the hardest thing about having adult kids?
Um, my least favorite thing about having adult kids is because you guys are adults, you can either take it or leave it when
Mm,
you're giving advice.
yeah.
You know 1000% that it's what you need to do, and you guys have it bad coming to me asking me stuff and then going doing whatever. Y'all got that like, oh, you
I don't
just
know
tell
what
me
you're
you got that.
talking
I know you don't.
about.
At least I wasn't rude. um, my favorite thing is kind of like how we say about our grandkids, you can send
Hmm.
them home. Ain't nobody got to live with me.
Right.
Thank you, Jesus. God is good.
You can
Right.
hype them up on sugar and send them on
Cause
their
what? Cause see,
way.
there was a time like I cried so when Alexis left for college.
Uh-huh.
When Ronnie left, I just broke down so bad. I don't know why it was worse. I thought it would have gotten better because I'd
Uh-huh.
experienced it with her, but I think what made it worse was that okay, not only is he leaving too, but I'm by myself.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, I like being by myself, right? It felt good. And so, it started out being, when do you come home for break? When is break again? And then they started coming home and I'm like, when's break over? When do y'all go back?
Uh-huh.
It's time for everybody to leave. So my favorite thing is like, I don't, everybody has their own. Thank
Yeah,
God.
yeah. That's a good one. And you get to now be the grandparents, which that experience is so different from being the parent. And I know this because my dad and stepmom will let Jackson have whatever he wants. If he wants 37 cookies in 2 minutes, he can have 37 cookies in 2 minutes. And they look at me like I dare you to say something.
See, now I know, all right, I learned, here's what they learned. They learned that they go, they run it off, you know what I mean? Um, and they're young, it's not gonna kill them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, think about this too. When I was a parent and my kids wanted 37 cookies, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the no had to do not so much as them eating the 37 cookies, but maybe I can't afford to go and replace to get
Ah,
cookies. You
mm-hmm.
know, I am better off financially now
Mm-hmm.
with my grandkids. And so I can do a lot more for them than I did for my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, they didn't have a father that was involved in their lives. He didn't
Mhm.
support me, support them. So
Mhm.
it was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That definitely is an interesting phenomenon that happens with single moms and maybe single dads too. I don't know. But did you find yourself like trying to make up for?
I tell you that all the time. That's why I fuss at you.
Yeah.
You don't know what I'm talking about though. I,
No, no.
yeah, you overcompensate,
Yeah.
because you don't want you feel guilty. You feel at fault for
Mm,
them being in the situation that they're in, and
mhm.
that's not true.
Right.
And they still have to learn or need to learn
Hmm.
real life stuff.
Yeah.
And in real life, you don't get to have what you want when you want it.
Hmm.
Kids are so smart. They always have been. They didn't just start being smart in
Right.
recent years. Kids
Yeah.
are so smart. They know that, they understand that it's when I'm with grandma that I get to do a little bit
Oh,
more
yeah.
than I do at home. So they get that whole thing. And that's why they love great parents so much. And that's why, and all of that stuff is okay. But for them to not think that there are consequences,
Uh-huh.
for them to think that if you ask for it, it's yours,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
there shouldn't ever be any no's. Sometimes you just
Right.
say no just for good measure.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Because I said so, you know?
Right. Right.
So yeah.
I was talking to this grandmother the other day at field day for Jackson's school,
Mm-hmm.
and she was telling me how her husband passed away when her son was, I think he was 12,
Mm-hmm.
and she had two older daughters, and she said, I really messed up with my son. And I said,
Yeah.
what do you mean? She said, when his dad passed away, I just felt like I had to give him the world because
Mm-hmm.
his dad was gone. And she said, I didn't make him do a thing. He didn't cut the grass. He didn't put up the dishes. She said, I didn't make him do anything. And she said, you know where he is right now? I said, where? She said, at my house on my couch. I said, well, does he live there? She said, yes. He doesn't live there and he doesn't work. And she said,
Oh.
I really, really messed him up. She
Mm-hmm.
said, he can't hold a job. He does work, but he's in and out of different positions. Um, and she said, I know that it's because of I wasn't as hard on him as I needed to be, because I was trying to overcompensate for him not having a dad. I
So
felt really
hard. I hate that she's so hard on herself because, at the end of the day, I do feel like I did okay with Ronnie. That's kind of funny too, because we were just laughing this past Sunday. I was with him. He was going to take Kai home,
mm-hmm,
and we were laughing about just bringing up old stuff, and we were laughing about the time when, because of how I left for work versus when he left to go to the bus stop. Most of
uh-huh,
the time, I didn't see him when he got on the bus.
uh-huh,
But this morning I had to leave earlier, and so basically, he was leaving home one way, and then we get to the bus stop around his friends.
mm-hmm,
He'd start to, he'd have to have his pants down a little bit, doing the little
mm-hmm.
sag thing. Girl, my pants right at the bus stop, and you know,
Ooh.
girl, he was like, he said he was talking about lace. I was so ashamed. I was just totally, I was like, hey, as you should have been, and I don't regret that one
Mhm,
minute, right? And
mhm,
and we were also talking about how I asked him once, I said, I don't know why we were talking about gangs. And I said, how was it that you never got in a gang? Like,
mhm,
nobody ever approached you about being in a gang? He was, oh, yeah, they approach me all the time. I told him, man, you must don't know my mom. I
mhm.
was
I
like,
am
is
not
that what you
crazy.
said? And so,
He said, I am not crazy.
yeah, that's exactly what he was like, man, ain't crazy.
Yep.
So, see, I had enough little, whatever, feistiness or something that
Mm-hmm.
kept him, off the streets.
Yeah.
He never wanted to be out, in clubs, and that just kind of wasn't his thing. Like he has
Mhm.
always been kind of to himself, or whatever. But with all that said, the
Mhm.
things that he needed, you know, um, those seeds that needed to be planted for him
Mhm.
to become that wholesome man that he needed to be, I couldn't give him those things.
Mhm.
So it had to either be another man that steps in and have those conversations or plant those seeds, or you
Yeah.
know, I have a friend that he would probably disagree with me on what I'm saying right now, but I do just feel like there are certain things that come from a man that should
Mhm.
come from a man for a boy.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And I think that, that the grandmother that I was talking about, we got into a conversation about that too, how important it is to have that balance
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
of the mom and the dad, because we are both so different and we both provide such different necessities to the child that I can't provide certain things as a woman, and the dad can't provide certain things as a dad.
Yeah.
That's the importance of having at least another male or female figure
Mm-hmm.
in their lives. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely. So we are about at another break. I'm
Mm-hmm.
having such a good time talking about all of these motherhood topics, but we are at another break. So we will
But
be right back.
like we're there for real.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
we were almost okay.
yeah.
Well, heck, y'all. We're
We'll,
talking all things moms. We'll be back in a moment.
we're back talking about Mother's Day and motherhood, and all of the fun stuff about it, all the trials, the tribulations, all the laughter. Um, Dr. Shaw, I am wondering if you have a favorite like childhood memory with your mom or your grandmom or your aunts. You mentioned all three this in the beginning of the show. Wondering what your favorite childhood memory with them might be.
So my mushy
Mm-hmm.
favorite childhood memory with my grandmother was just how she allowed me to insert myself in the kitchen when she was in the kitchen, and
Mm-hmm.
the absolute patience of Job.
Uh-huh.
I now know that because of how I feel when my grandkids come in
Uh-huh.
the kitchen and I'm trying to cook. And I have to always remember that the reason I am the cook that I am today
Mm-hmm.
is because I had a grandmother that was okay
Mm-hmm.
with me being in the kitchen and stirring something here and there and wash your hands, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you had to clean as you go, and you have to, and all of those little things have stuck with me. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like when I was 18, 19, off at college, that was those were my processes. Like I was like an little old woman, the way I did things. That's my mushy memory with her.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the funniest memories I have with her is my grandmother and grandfather and the people in the West Tennessee 94.7 FM immediate listening area will know about this. My grandmother, Walter and Sally Ann Johnson, owned a store.
Mm-hmm.
And one day my grandfather took my grandmother for some business into town, as we like to say. And
Mm-hmm.
their friend, Miss Janie, kept the store while they were away. And I was there with Miss Janie and and I don't know what happened. So with my grandparents, like as we spoke of earlier, I got anything I wanted. I did whatever I wanted pretty much. And so I must have been wanting something. She was telling me no for some reason to make
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Mhm.
And I must have been kind of disrespectful to her.
Mhm.
And she was going to spank me. And when I realized she was seriously going to spank me, I ran. And as I was running and she was running behind me, my grandma and my grandfather pulled back up.
Mhm.
And so they got you know, the 411 on what was going on or whatever. And so then my grandma was gonna spank me. And
Mhm.
rightly so, I left you with somebody and then you being, showing your little behind.
Uh-huh.
I ran from her. She was probably in her 60s at the time and she caught me. She
Wow.
would laugh so about that story. That was what, and now with my mom, my parents had bought me this 10-speed bike.
Uh-huh.
And you know how parents are at Christmas. I think I've done it too. It's your Christmas stuff, but then they
Mhm.
want to show you how to use it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Girl, she got on that bike. We
Mhm.
lived at the top of this hill. She went down that hill. It was a 10-speed, and she didn't realize with the 10-speed, the brakes are on the handlebar.
Lord.
And she went through those hedges and those bushes. Yeah, that was
Oh my goodness.
if we had filmed that, if we
Mm.
had videoed that, and for that show they have the
Yeah.
funniest videos.
Oh,
Oh yeah, we'd
man.
have had something with that one. Oh yeah.
Wow. That is hilarious. And I could see a mom going, oh, y'all laughing? Y'all will never get a chance to ride this bike.
Girl.
Wow. That's a good one. That's a good one. I think my favorite, I have a couple favorite maybe um memories. One is a funny one. We used to live pretty close to this baseball field. Now, when I say close, you couldn't see it from my street or my house or anything.
Mhm.
And it was within walking distance, but you probably wouldn't want to walk there.
Okay.
But I remember one day my mom telling me that during a game, they hit a home run and the ball landed on our street.
Okay.
And I remember being like, for real? Because it was really far. I mean, it was close, but it was not close enough for anybody to be hitting a baseball.
Yeah.
So 6 blocks. She
Uh,
was, she was so convincing that I was like, for real? And she just stopped and she said, Nicole, do you really believe? And then she couldn't even get it out. She was laughing so hard. I remember we were laying there, in her bed watching TV,
uh-huh.
and she was laughing so hard she almost fell off the bed. She just could not believe that I actually believed that they had maybe hit this ball 6 blocks, but I really did because she.
Isn't it something how you could believe, like my grandmother birthday is on October 17th.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite Uncle Curtis, rest in peace, Uncle Curtis. His is on October 7th.
Uh-huh.
And how they used to tell me, although she was the mom, they used to tell me he was the oldest because his birthday came first. And somehow that was just rational to me and
Yeah.
logical. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I believe that stuff probably way too long.
Well, and I think when you're a kid, if an adult said it, it must be true.
It
Like, why
must be
would you be
true.
telling me something that's not
Yeah.
true?
Y'all
And
stop doing
just
that to
get a
your
laugh.
children.
Yeah, yeah. She got a real good laugh out of that one. And she was just laughing. You're just so gullible. I'm like, well, you told me, why would I not believe that? I can't
Right.
remember how old I was, but I was probably too old to be believing that.
Yeah.
Uh, and then some other just like fond memories. Are just mainly about like who my mom was as a person. Like
Mhm.
when I went to my first year going off to college, we had this enclosed porch. And I remember going out there one day and it was full of stuff for college. I mean, it was everything you could possibly think of. And my mom hadn't gone to college until I was in high school. So she didn't do the whole dorm experience
Yeah.
thing. So I don't even know how she knew what a college student needed,
Mm-hmm.
but
You had
she,
it.
yes, I mean, things that I didn't even know I was gonna need. She
Mm-hmm.
had it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just remember thinking like, she was just very proud of me. I was her
Mm-hmm.
first child and I was going to college and she was going to make sure I was prepared. I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't thought about any of the stuff that I needed, but I didn't need to because she did. And so
Mm-hmm.
I really just, you know, remember how just awesome that was when I went on that porch. And I was like, wow, my mom did all of this for
Do
me.
you ever think about because I want to ask my kids this too. Do you ever think about the sacrifices that your parents, your mom may have made for you that you would not have ever known about? Because I think as moms, I can't speak for, me as a mom, some of the
Mhm.
things, sacrifices that I made, it wasn't important for me that my kids knew.
Right.
Now, maybe I should have said, you know, I don't
Mhm.
know. Because I feel like when you talk about making it look easy, I think my kids felt that way too, because
Yeah.
my kids would ask me for anything. I think they thought I could produce
Yep.
anything.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I think there were a lot of sacrifices that I know about, and then some that I still to this day don't know.
Mhm,
Um, but now that I'm an adult, I'm not even sure that I need to know all of them because I
mhm,
still can appreciate knowing that there were probably numerous sacrifices, things that she was able to make happen, um, that probably almost broke her back and I had no idea. Like I can appreciate that now as a mom. Um, and I don't even know that I need to know all of them.
mhm,
I can just understand that there were sacrifices that were made for me, for my brother, for my sister. And I think that's enough for me
mhm,
to know that they were made in our honor.
mhm,
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I mean, I even think about things like being sent to private school. We did not have private school money. To this day, I don't know how that woman did it.
mhm,
But
mhm.
she did.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So, all right. What is our next question? If you could do anything differently, are there things that you might have changed? Or are there things that, knowing what you know now as a grandmother, that you would have done differently as a mom?
Mhm. Um, yes, and they would be different things for for
Mhm.
either my son or my daughter.
Mhm.
Um, with Alexis, I would use reverse psychology.
Okay.
Whatever it is I wanted her to do, I would totally say the opposite. And make her do
Okay.
it. With Ronnie, um, I would have, Alexis was fine going away for school,
Mhm.
but if I could go back and do it again, I would have kept Ronnie at home,
Mhm.
closer to me,
Okay.
um, to go to school. I mean, you just realize that they have different needs.
Yeah.
Um, I'm glad they were brought up in church.
Mhm.
But I hate because I was a single mom for a lot of those years
Mhm.
and my role in church and playing every Sunday and all of that. I hate that I burdened them with so much church. That
Okay.
sounds kind of crazy, but they were kids.
Okay.
And when other kids could go to church and then go home and play in the
Uh-huh.
yard and all that, for them it was all day on Sunday.
Mhm.
You know, I would try to figure out a way, to do something different or those boundaries that I tend to talk about a lot now. I might would tell the churches, hey, I can be there for the morning, but I can't do afternoons. I would put them, I would prioritize them
Okay.
over evening services and stuff like that. Those were traditional things that we did, in the Black churches,
Mhm.
morning service, afternoon service, and all of that. But I would do that differently and spend more time because I tell you, it was like a blink of the eye for real.
Yeah.
They were grown.
I mean, people tell you that, but I don't think you really truly get it.
Not when you're in it, you don't, because you're so busy. And I mean, but just think about how recent it was that he was, Jackson was 6.
Yeah. Yeah. And now this coming October, he's
Yeah.
gonna be 9. What? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Hmm.
Like, I don't understand it.
Hmm.
I'm grateful for it, but I don't understand how it went so quickly.
Yeah,
But
it does. Time awaits no one. We know that. Um,
this
those are your
might
questions.
this might be our last one because this one might take a little bit. What are you most proud of in your motherhood journey?
That's so easy.
Okay.
Not giving up.
Yeah.
Um, I said to my kids once, I said, I had the same option
Mm-hmm.
your father did. I had that option.
Ooh, wow. Yeah.
That
Wow.
wasn't to be mean, but that was me knowing the sacrifices that I'm making and you taking stuff lightly. I need you to get with the program, right? I
Mm-hmm.
had that option. But of course, out of, love and
Yeah.
being responsible,
Yeah.
accountable and all of that, um, I'm most proud for not throwing in the towel because there was some time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm telling you, when I say organized, I'm talking about scheduled my cries.
Oh,
I
wow.
ain't lying to you.
Wow.
I'm not lying to you. And I'm most proud that I was able to finish my course.
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Yeah. Because it does not sound like it was always easy.
Nope.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
proud for the mindset. We talk about mindset a lot. I'm proud for the mindset that I know it was God
mm-hmm.
because I saw too many people in my predicament that made me say, I know I'm just as much a candidate for alcoholism or
Yeah.
addiction or
Yeah.
suicide or
Yeah.
whatever. So that's what I'm most proud of. That here I
Yeah.
am in
Yeah.
spite of.
Wow. That's beautiful. Yeah. What am I most proud of? So mine is only 8, right? And so I've only had these, short years to pour into him. But I think what I'm most proud of is that I have raised a very kind, very thoughtful um young man who understands that it is okay to be himself,
Mm-hmm.
and it is okay to share his feelings. I think I'm I'm most proud of having a child that I know will come and talk to me
Mm.
if something is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if something's bothering him, or if something doesn't seem right. I'm proud that I have given him the safety, I guess, to come to me, to share with me. Um, I didn't have that. And not that my mom was not a good mom in that respect, but
Mm-hmm.
she didn't know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of fear about going to her and
Yes.
saying, even if it
Yeah.
was
And
something
I
about,
think that's an era, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an era, an era of folks that
Yes.
didn't know, or felt like children didn't really have a voice.
Right. Right.
It's like
And
I'm the parent,
yep.
and even an era of, I mean, it wasn't a lot of, I love yous and
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm. Yeah. That is what I can go to sleep peacefully knowing that little boy will come to me, he will talk to me, he will share with me, even if it's something that, I am doing. um he knows that he can come to me and say like, mommy, can we do this instead, or it hurts my feelings when you do this, and he
mhm.
knows that I'm not going to be angry with him about it, right? Like I don't think I would have ever been able to say, mommy, it hurts my feelings when you yell at me,
You know
or
what?
when
I wonder if my dad remembers this. My uncle told me one time, he said, that's Uncle Curtis. He was like, you ought to be able to tell, even a grown up,
Mhm,
I love you and I so and so, but but after you were wrong. And I tried that on my dad one time. Girl,
mhm.
probably saw lightning or something. Daddy, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. This is I gotta tell this before I go. So I was out with my parents for, birthday dinner last Sunday. And I was
Uh-huh.
telling them, I was messing with them. I don't know, I don't even know how we got on this subject, but I was like, all those funerals I played for when I was a little girl. So y'all to be ashamed of yourself. Like I was, that was probably trauma and everything. Of course he goes, well, uh, no, she goes, somebody else picked you up. What that got to do with it? Did you let me go? Then he goes, uh, well, the statute of limitations. I said, I'm gonna report y'all. He said, well, the statute
Oh,
of limitations are up.
nope.
You can only imagine.
Ah, he said you should have said something long time ago.
Long time ago.
Well, this was fun talking about, mommyhood and all the things.
Yep, it is. I thought it, one really weird thing is how I thought, gosh, I used to think they're gonna get grown. This is
Mm-hmm.
all gonna be behind me, they'll
Mm-hmm.
be living their own lives. And then lo and behold, grandkids come.
Mm-hmm.
And the worry, the same level of worry or worse is
It
there
never
all
ends.
over again. It's
Oh,
crazy.
Lord.
And I think about this world that we live in, and I'm like, Lord, I'm a praying grandmama for real.
Yeah. Wow.
All
The
right,
word.
guys, we've enjoyed it. Happy Mother's Day again to all of you. Um, and we hope that you will have a wonderful rest of the weekend. And we hope that you will come back and join us next Saturday, same chat channel, same chat time, right here on Doc2Doc in the Chatroom on 94.7 FM. We will see you then.